Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Unparalleled Universe for another action figure review, and today we're taking a look at the brand new Marvel Legends Fantastic Four PsychoMan. And I'm really looking forward to this figure, even though, to be honest with you, I really don't know too much about this character. All I know is that he's an old school Fantastic Four villain created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, and that's enough to get me excited because I'm a sucker for old school Jack Kirby creations. So I'm looking forward to this guy. Plus, it's the first time that we've seen him in the Marvel Legends line, so that's exciting too. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into this, starting off with the packaging. Man, I really do love this packaging. It's gonna hurt destroying this, just like with all the other retro packaging. It does look very cool, but it's not collector friendly, so you do have to destroy it to get the figures out. But I was a big fan of this line when I was a kid, and this line introduced me to a bunch of crazy old school characters that I just wasn't aware of because I was mostly into X-Men and Spider-Man. But when this line came out and this show, I actually liked the show that accompanied the line. I know that it kind of gets criticized, but I think it was cool. There was some very interesting episodes. I always liked the episode that had Black Bolt in it and the Inhumans. It's a big part of the reason why I love Black Bolt so much. Anyways, I thought this line was cool back in the days, and it's nice to see Hasbro kind of show it some love. You know, the X-Men and the X-Men and the Spider-Man lines were obviously the bigger lines, and they were the most popular, but Iron Man and Fantastic Four had some great lines too, and it's cool that Hasbro is showing them some love. But I like what we have going on here. PsychoMan does look cool inside of the packaging. Up here, we got some nice looking PsychoMan artwork. We could see him and his emotion box or something. I forget exactly what that thing is called, but yeah, you could see him right there. It says PsychoMan, and I like the artwork that we have up here of the actual Fantastic Four. It really reminds me of the artwork from those figures, where obviously it looks a little bit more inspired by the cartoon. So that's really cool. And then up top it says Fantastic Four in bright yellow and red colors, and then right here we get the Marvel Comics logo, which again, that just really takes me back to my childhood, seeing that old school Marvel Comics logo on an action figure. It's very nice. And then on the back, we get a look at the other figures that come out alongside PsychoMan. We got the Fantastic Four and then High Evolutionary. And I'm very excited about the High Evolutionary. That's another character that we haven't seen in Marvel Legends, and finally they're giving it to us. And then initially, before I actually read it, I thought they gave us a bunch of information about PsychoMan, but it just turns out they gave us one sentence about the character, and then they just repeated it a bunch of times in different languages. So it would be nice to get a little bit more information about an obscure villain like this, but hopefully, you know, it inspires people to go like read up on this. Now that I have this figure, you know, I kind of want to go read some old Fantastic Four books, and luckily, like a bunch of them are on Comixology, so I'm gonna go ahead and check those out. But yeah, I really love this packaging, and again, it's gonna hurt ripping this open, but I have to do it because I need to play with this toy. But let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so here we have PsychoMan right out of his packaging, and you know what? I know I'm in the minority with my opinion about this figure, but I've got to say, I really like this guy. And to be honest with you, he's probably gonna end up in my top 10 Marvel Legends of 2021 because I think that Hasbro really did an amazing job on this. PsychoMan's design is so goofy and old school, and it just looks crazy, but Hasbro just went all in on it, gave him a completely new sculpt. As far as I could tell, there's no reuse here. Everything is completely brand new, and it just does such a great job of encapsulating that Jack Kirby feel. And like I said, I'm just always a sucker for old school Jack Kirby, Stan Lee creations. And even though I'm not like the biggest PsychoMan fan or anything, the figure and character design is undoubtedly Jack Kirby. So that always makes me happy. They just did such a wonderful job on this figure. He's got some really nice paint work for the arms. You got that like metallic green. The white is a little bit plain. I do wish that they outlined some of the sculpted details with black. I think that would have looked even more like old school Kirby artwork, and it would have brought out these details a little bit more and made them stand out. So I might end up getting an extra and maybe customizing it just a little bit, but some black lines I think would have made this figure look a little bit better. But as it is, I'm really impressed with this. And it's just crazy like how hard Hasbro goes when it comes to the villains. I said it in my Kang the Conqueror review, but someone over there just must really love old school villains, because every time that like they do an old school villain, it seems like they go all out. Like PsychoMan, Kang the Conqueror, Doctor Doom, Ultron, they always just kill it with these old villains. But man, PsychoMan is special because he's not in a movie. Like, they haven't announced a PsychoMan appearance in a Fantastic Four movie or anything like that. Dr. Doom, you know, he's the biggest Marvel villain ever. Kang's coming up in the movie. Ultron has been in a movie. So, you know, I could see why they would go all in with those characters. But with this super obscure old school character that probably hasn't been in a comic in 20 years, like I don't see like what possessed Hasbro to want to go so hard with this, and it just kind of, it makes me so happy that they did such a great job on this guy and put so much love into it. So man, this is a really great looking figure. But let's go ahead and get in close and take a look at the details on this guy. And I think that Hasbro did a great job with the sculpting and the details on PsychoMan. I believe that he was sculpted by Gentle Giant Studios, and those guys always do incredible work. PsychoMan is no exception. But starting off at the head here, I love this design of the head because it does remind me of old school Jack Kirby stuff. It kind of looks like Darkseid, you know? It's got a similar kind of design, but I think it looks very good. I like the way they outline the white of the eyes with black just to make them stand out a little bit. And they also outline the entire face just to kind of create a border between the gold and the green, and I think that came out very, very nice. On the top of the head, he has like the Omega symbol, and that looks very clean. The paint looks very nice on there. I don't see any green on the gold or anything, so that's nice. And then we have these black lines on the forehead. And yeah, I just think the head sculpt came out really nice. I love this metallic green that they used on him too. I think that looks really good, and I like the way that it clashes with the white, so that is very nice. But yeah, check all this out here. We've got a little bit of sculpting work in here, which is good. Across the chest here, we have a little bit of green, and I feel like this could have been painted a little better. As you could see, it's a little bit sloppy. It's not horrible or anything, but, you know, zoomed in, you could definitely notice. And like I said before, I think this area would have benefited from having a little bit of black outlines on here. If they would have outlined these details in black, I think it would have looked better, and it would have kind of looked a little bit more like that old school Jack Kirby artwork, so that would have been cool. Same thing down here, but still, I do think that it looks really good. We've got some more metallic green around the belt, some nice sculpting work. I love this metallic green, man. That looks so nice. Then moving down into the legs, these legs are crazy. Look at these pipes. I like how they attach the pipes to the upper hip area so it doesn't hinder the articulation. I think that was a really smart way to do it. And these are like soft, so they don't really get in the way at all, really. And just check out all the sculpting work in here. That all looks really nice. A lot of creases, a lot of detail. He's got pinless knees, which look good. And he's just a bizarre looking character, you know. He's so unique. I can't imagine any parts that they could reuse on this guy. And then let's check out the arms. We've got like that metallic green going. We've got some details on the side here. Again, pinless elbows, which is very good. I think that Hasbro's kind of hit or miss when it comes to like the metallic colors, but on PsychoMan, I think they did a great job with it. Looks really, really good. So yeah, just in general, I'm in love with the way this figure looks. And then for accessories, the only thing that he comes with is his control box, and I think they did a pretty good job sculpting this, but there's not a whole lot of paint. As you can see, we do have some nice sculpted details, but they're kind of lost because there's no paint to bring it all out. So I really wish they would have added a little bit of paint to this so we could see all this nice stuff. But as it is, I think they did a great job sculpting it. On the back here, you can see there's a vent, and then we have some coils or something on the top. And then on the side, we have a bunch of sculpted details. On the front, same thing. And then it does say fear, doubt, and hate. So I think this is a very cool accessory. And I wish he had an easier way to hold it. You could kind of set it in his arms like this, but it does fall out really easy. So it would have been nice if he had a tighter gripping hand that was able to hold on and secure the control box. And also, it would have been cool if he came with some hands that can be used to point to the control box, you know, or something. But as it is right now, this is the one thing that this character needed, and they included it. So I'm happy. And for some size comparisons, here we have PsychoMan alongside a couple of Hasbro's greatest villains. On the left, we have the Marvel Legends Kang the Conqueror, and on the right, we have Marvel Legends Dr. Doom. And then here we have him alongside some more awesome Hasbro villains. On the left, we have the Marvel Legends Dormammu, and on the right, we have the Marvel Legends Ultron. And just by the look of these figures that were just shown, you could tell that somebody over at Hasbro just loves old classic villains, and that is awesome stuff. Next up, we have him alongside a couple of Fantastic Four members. On the left, obviously, we have Marvel Legends Thing, and on the right, we have Marvel Legends Human Torch. Next up, we have him alongside Marvel Legends Reed Richards and Marvel Legends Sue Storm. And then, of course, we have him alongside the Marvel Legends Pizza Spider-Man and Marvel Legends Bucky Cap. And in the articulation department, PsychoMan kind of caught me by surprise because he does have a couple of things going on that I wasn't really expecting. I'd say for the most part, he has a pretty standard Marvel Legends articulation setup, and he does have a couple of shortcomings, but there's a few surprises on here that I was really excited about. So let's go ahead and get into it. Starting off with the head. His head and neck is one piece, so you're not going to have movement independently at the head. It's just all going to move together, but you still get some pretty good range. Check out the tilt right there. That's nice. And then he can look up to only to about right there. If you try to push it further than that, it might pop off. So you can't really move his head that far up. You can move it down to about right there, and that's about it. And then you get side to side, obviously. So not a whole lot going on at the head, but the torso I think is awesome. So what they did here is they have a ball joint at the waist, and the ball joint actually gets really good range. Check this out. Look how far it goes to the side. That's pretty good for a little dude in armor. And then it goes back to about right there. And you can push him way back, and there's no like gap or anything like that because the skirt kind of just can move up, or just kind of gets it. It kind of blocks any gaps that we have there. So that is awesome stuff. Look how far he goes back. And he goes forward to about right there, which again is pretty decent. And then it can turn side to side. But man, I really like this torso setup. I think this is probably my second favorite torso setup behind like a diaphragm cut and some type of lower joint, whether it's another ball joint or an ab crunch. But yeah, I think behind that setup, this is probably my favorite because it gets really good movement and it doesn't break up the torso articulation at all. And it just makes this figure a lot of fun to play with. You could definitely get him into a lot of really cool poses. You could have him like, you know, in a punching pose, and his like ball joint helps you achieve like a cocking back type of motion because he doesn't have any butterfly joints, but you could still kind of achieve some cool punching type of poses with his arm back like that. And then you could just kind of have him standing there just looking big and imposing. Again, this kind of very much so reminds me of Jack Kirby type of artwork, just explosive, kind of like off the page type of stuff, you know. So I really like this torso joint, man. Very nice. And then for the arms, we do have ball joints at the shoulders, and these do go all the way around very nicely. They do come up to about right there, which is pretty good. Unfortunately, he doesn't have butterfly joints, and I really wish that he had, or maybe it would have been cool if they gave him the, I mean, I know Marvel Legends doesn't really do this, but like the Mafex style of shoulder joint where it's just like a long ball peg in there. McFarlane kind of does it too on their stuff. I think that would have worked perfectly for PsychoMan. As it is right now, he can't really reach over and touch his control box. So when he's touching his control, or when he's holding his control box, you can't really reach over with this arm and touch it. And he doesn't come with the pointer finger, so that kind of sucks too. But yeah, you can't even really get close. And honestly, I don't really know if he needs to touch these buttons to invoke these emotions. But you know, maybe they're just kind of there for decoration or something. Maybe he could, maybe it's speech activated, or maybe he controls it with his mind. Who knows? But right away, I kind of feel like this is buttons that he should be able to press, and he can't reach over and do that. But you know, it is what it is. Ball joint and shoulders is like standard. So you know, at least they move all the way around. They come up a good amount, and yeah, you could do what you need to with them. And then he does have upper bicep swivel, and I love the way that the whole arm is green and the shoulder is white, so it just looks all very clean and nice, and that's where the swivel is at, like where the green ends. So that's good stuff. And then he does have double jointed elbows, which get a pretty good bend, but his arms are kind of big. So oh no, look, that's pretty good for his big ass arms. So that'll work. And then he does have a swivel at the wrist and a hinge at the wrist. At the legs, you can't really get his legs up too much because he's got all these like pipes and things in his skirt or whatever, so you really can't get his leg up too high. That's about it, even if you try to move his skirt up. But again, I don't know if this is the type of character that's going to be trying to kick Ben Grimm in the mouth or anything. So that's about as far as they go up. Only go back to about right there. They kick out to the side a decent amount, all things considered. And then he does have upper thigh swivel. And I like how they connected these parts on the upper or the lower hip area, I guess you could call it. So they're just kind of floating there. They don't get in the way of the upper thigh swivel, and it all looks really good. And then he does have double jointed knees, but he does have like another hose right here, and that does kind of get in the way, but still, even with all this stuff going on, you could still get some pretty decent range. He's got no lower leg swivel, which is unfortunate because I feel like they could have hidden one in there. But the feet are able to go forward to about right there. They kick up to right there, and then he does have rocking ankles. The rocking ankles are a little hindered by all these green pipes and stuff, but you could get him to work for you. You know, the legs don't really have a whole lot going on, but as long as you could get him into like walking poses, I think that you can do what you can get what you want out of this figure, you know. Again, he's not like Spider-Man or whatever, so it's not like he needs crazy articulation, but what he has, I'm really happy with. And as I said before, he's a lot of fun to play with, and I was really surprised with this ball joint at the waist. I think it works really good, and it makes this figure a joy to handle. So overall, at the end of the day, when the smoke clears, the dust settles, and it's all said and done, I think this is an awesome figure. I really love what we have going on here. Hasbro did a great job of capturing that old school, almost silly Jack Kirby vibe that this guy has going on. And I just think it's awesome that Hasbro still goes back and gets these old, obscure, forgotten characters and gives us amazing figures of them, you know? Like, I don't think anybody out there was asking for a PsychoMan. You know, I'm sure he popped up on a couple people's wish lists. I'm sure somebody in the comments will be like, I've been asking for one for 15 years. So, you know, there's always some exceptions. But I think for the most part, PsychoMan isn't really a character that a lot of people have on their mind. So I just think it's very cool that Hasbro takes these characters that a lot of people aren't really thinking about and just does such an amazing job of giving us good figures of them. Like, this guy has a completely brand new sculpt, a bunch of nice detail, some really nice paintwork. He doesn't have many accessories, but he has what he needs. He's got his control box, so that's nice. And it's just a great figure. He doesn't have the most articulation ever. There are a couple of things I wish they would have had on here that they missed out. Like, I kind of wish that he had different shoulders, maybe some butterfly joints, or just something to give us a little bit more movement so that he could reach over and touch his control box. And I also wish that he came with some accessories, like different hands, really. That's all he needed. But as it is, like, he has his control box, and it's freaking PsychoMan. So, you know, I'm pretty happy with what we have going on here. And like I said earlier, I feel like I'm going to be in the minority. I don't think a lot of people are going to be as excited and pumped up about this figure as me. And I'll be honest with you, I don't have any attachment to the character, so that's not something that's clouding my judgment. I'm just like, I just think it's so cool that Hasbro gives us these old school designs and just puts so much love into them. You know, you could tell that somebody over there at Hasbro really likes these old school crazy villains, and it just shows every time that they do them, you know. Like, they've given us a great PsychoMan, Kang, Dr. Doom, Ultron, Dormammu, Red Skull. Now we have Baron Zemo on the way. You know, it just seems like someone over there loves villains, and it seems like every time they put out some weird, obscure villain that no one's thinking about, they always do a really great job with it. So this guy makes me very happy. And yeah, I think that's it. So thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Also, be sure to hit the bell notification so you know every time that I go live or anytime I upload a new video. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you for all the support. Peace.